Welcome everyone to today's class. Good to have you all. Today we are going to be looking at CRUD functionalities. What do I mean by CRUD functionalities? So basically, CRUD functionality is like CR. Let me just type it here. CRUD. So who knows what this stands for? Okay, unmute. Enoch.
Okay, so the I call it CRUD, sha. It create, read, update, and delete.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like all those
once you
databases and stuff.
yes, exactly. So it's when we talk about web development, right? These are like the core functions of a web application. You want to create something, be able to read it, possibly update it, and then you should also be able to delete, right? So we can even use the DOM as an example to describe these functionalities, right? So let's assume that we want to display something to the DOM, right? That display, we are reading the content of that application. Then let's assume that we are making an update, maybe it's an input field. For every change we make, right? We are updating that input field. Then for every time you remove or you don't want a particular view, let's assume that you change screen. You are deleting that view to see another view, right? Not particularly deleting it, you are just deleting it from the DOM. Okay. So basically everything you are doing, you are going to be doing on the web application. You are either going to be creating, reading, updating, or deleting content from your web application. So today we just work on a simple book list application, right? To describe or to describe a create, read, update, and delete functionality. I hope this code base is not confusing to you guys. Should I delete all this? Is it confusing? Text box, please. Can you all hear me? Okay. Yeah, so I just want to ask, I'm not deleting it because if you say it's confusing, you are not going to be working with only one file in a code base. You can get to, there are some applications that can have over 500 folders, right? Or even more. So in those kind of scenarios, what will you do? You delete other things to have your own. Danny, Daniel Enoch. Okay, let's move. So first thing we create, okay. Let's create a company, a new folder, and just okay. So within this folder, let's have two new files. One will be our book form.jsx, and then we'll have book list JSX. Okay. So you guys said you like us to build our code from the app.js. So let's start from here. First thing we want to do is create a state. We want to create a state to control the book list, right? There will say books, set books. Okay, Udo, not really. So for this now, I'm using it like this, right? But it's not like it's standard. You understand? Now this component is supposed to be your global components, things you are going to be using everywhere in your code, right? Typically. Then you can have like a folder for your pages, have folder for utils like I do here, right? So it's not standard. You can actually have your pages outside components, right? But it's okay if you have it in here. Most important part is organizing it the way you will understand and the way to be readable for other people to understand if they look at your code. Is that clear? Udo.
Okay.
All right.
Because I see that you're creating all the folders in other components. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I understand. It's not a standard.
Confusing.
No, it's not a standard. Okay, are you clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
all right. Okay, so we've created a state for books, right? We all know what this does. Then we want to create another state for selected books because we will be selecting the books, right? Set selected book equals used. Okay, so let's go ahead and create. First, we'll create our handle save book. So we need to save our new books, right? So const handle save book. I want to take book as an argument, right? So if selected book, I want to set book. So books dot map arrow function using b dot id is equals to book dot id. Book. Okay. I hope you guys are not confused with what's happening here. If you have questions, just raise your hand and I will call you to unmute. Everybody clear? All right, okay. So I'll say else. Okay, Enoch, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, so can you just explain that if else statement? Like you said, if the BID is equals to the book ID, it should return book or what? Like why did you just write book there?
Okay, so first of all, let me explain this selected book, right? You know, where is the B from? Okay, so the B here is just book. Can call it book. Why I'm using B here is because I don't want to I don't want you confused with this book, right? And this here. So we're using something different for this two. Do you understand? It's just a normal map.
Yes, sir.
It's like basic mapping functionality that we've been doing since. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so what this does is we create a new array, right, of books by mapping over the current books array. So we have books array here, this books array. So we are just going to map over this book array and create a new array of books when that's if this selected book exists. Do you understand?
Okay, sir.
So if this selected book exists, we want to map it and then create a new array with the book that we are supposed to, with the new update that we are supposed to add to this books array. Now, what happens in this else statement now is, if this selected book does not exist, right? We now want to create a new array and add new book to that array.
Okay, sir.
Do you understand now?
Yes, sir.
What we are doing here is we want to edit. So using this, we want to edit with this. And what we are saying is, if there is a selected book that we want to edit, this should run. This should run, right?
Okay.
But if there is no selected book to edit, then we
You
should
should just
add a
add.
new book. Good.
Okay.
Exactly. So now what we are doing is we are picking them by ID. So we're saying if the ID of the selected book, right, is equals to the ID, the book ID, right? This book, we should create a new array and pass the new book, like the new update to that book.
Okay, sir.
So it's like an edit function.
Okay.
Is it clear? Are you sure it's clear?
Yes, sir. The first one is the like the U in the CRUD, updating something, while the else is now creating something new and
Good,
adding it to
exactly.
the arrays.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. So after doing this, now we want to set selected book to null. All right. So in essence, what we're saying is at the end of all these actions, selected book should be null. This is like a reset function. So we are like resetting our input field to be empty. Okay, so let's handle our update function now. That is our edit function. Okay, so for this now, I want to say const book. And for this book, we want to find the book. So we want to find the book based on the book's ID. I think that's like very clear. That should be clear. Then if we find it, we want to set selected book, right? Do you understand what happened there? And let's see handle. Do we understand what happened there? Any question? Yeah, so it's a method. So find is a method, right? So we are like looking for a particular ID, like looking for a book with a particular ID. So we are saying if for this book now, we want to find a book that its ID is equal to the ID that we want to edit. Abubakar, do you understand? All right. So for filter, we are saying we are creating a new array, right, and setting it to books. So when we want to display these books now, we are saying for books, filter the books for any ID, for any book. If the selected book.id, right, is equals to the ID that we are trying to handle, don't include it in the new array of books. Do you understand? Anybody has an issue with this, please come again. Okay, Enoch. So like I said, this what we are doing here, right? We are filtering. And you know what filtering does now? So if you have like 10 apples and you want to filter them. Okay, good. Yes, it's not equals to, yeah. So everything that is not equals to that ID should be left, should be brought out and arranged into a new array. That new array now is what we are going to set to books. So we are going to be updating this books array, right? And giving it a new array that doesn't contain that very ID that we selected. So by that now we are automatically deleting. Good, exactly. So we are automatically deleting or omitting that very book that was selected anytime this handle delete book is triggered. And that's clear, right? And Udo. All right, okay, good. So let's create our components. We have form. We have book form, and then we have book list. Okay, so first thing we'll import let's import our book form first. Then we import our book lists. Okay. All right. So as you know, we are going to be passing most of this. In fact, we're passing all our functions as props, right? So for handle save, we want to say we're going to be handling save inside the form, right? So you say on save, and then we attach that to our save, right? And then we are going to be selecting. We want to pass our selected book down as props, right? So say selected book equals to selected book. Okay. All right, then for our list, first we want to display the books that we have. So let's say books equals to books. And on edit, we also want to pass our edit function here. Our handle edits function. And we also want to pass our handle delete function here. Okay. So now that we have this done, we can now move forward to creating our form, right? Okay, let's create the form. For this, we are going to first import use states and use effects. And use effects. Okay. So let's create states for our title. Okay. So for our title, initiate it as an empty array, and then we'll create another state for our author. So I'm doing controlled. Okay. So we'll say author. Set author. Okay. Use states. All right, so I'm going to have a use effects function here. So you all know what use effect does now. Handles the whole side effect of our application, right? And I want to have an if statement here. So if selected, okay, so if selected, then we want to set our title and we want to also set our author. Okay, then else we want to set them as empty. We'll do same for author. Set it as empty, right? Then our dependency array. I'm going to say selected. Okay, so for this now, what we are trying to achieve here, right, is quite straightforward, right? We're just checking if there is if a book is selected, right? We want to set the title to selected book, right? And then we want to set the author to selected book dot author. But if this selected is not available, then we want to leave those input fields empty. In essence, what we're trying to do now is we are trying to, if you want to edit, the input fields will have to contain the already existing content of that particular object that you want to edit, right? Because let's assume that we have an existing book that has the title and the author. If we want to edit that book now, the input field is going to contain the existing name, the existing title, and the existing name of the author, right? But if we are not selecting, if there's no selected book, that means we are trying to create a new book. The input field now will be empty so that we can input our book title and input our book author. And you should be able to save. Now, this dependency array, we are just checking for when this changes. So anytime this one changes, this use effect should run. Is that clear? Okay. So we'll now set up our submit function to handle submit. Okay. And then we want to definitely either prevent default. I want to prevent default. Then on save, we want to pass the ID. And for the ID, we should have if selected, right? So if a book is selected, that means we will be able to get the book's ID. So we'll say selected book.id. But if a book is not selected, right, we should be able to give it a new ID. So I'm going to use date.noun to generate a new ID for, I'm going to use that to generate a new ID for our application. And then we have our title and our author. Title and our author. Okay. So we should be able to reset our title field to empty after submission. Okay. Any questions before we move forward? Anybody has a question? Are we clear? Okay. In the absence of, okay. All right, cool. Let's keep going. So we want to start our form. So let's use form here. Right, and for our form on submit, I want to pass our handle submit function. And let's have an H1 and H2 preferably. And then we want to say selected book. Edit. Or add book. Okay, who can explain what I just did on this line? Raise your hand. Yeah, or mute.
So from what I understand, you are saying if there's a selected book already, you should show edit book so that it will be person will be able to edit the title and author. But if there's not, it will show add book.
Okay, so it's just a shorthand conditional statement. This is the same thing like an if statement, right? Just the way this works, that is exactly how this works. It's just like shorthand, right? So yeah, like yes, conditional rendering, exactly. So like, okay, Caleb, you want to give it a go too? I think we can make do with Enoch's explanation. So as it is now, I'm just checking for the availability of this selected book. So if there's no selected book, I want to display add book, or if there's selected book, I want to display edit book. All right, so for the input, type text placeholder. Excuse me. Title and values. Title and change. Okay. All right. This one. Add content. Okay. Same thing here. Without another value. And this will set auto. Okay. This will be auto. Okay, are we clear? Are we good to go? All right. Button. Top of summit. Okay. All right. So for this one, we can say for edit. Let me still bring this here. Let me make the, so you can come here and then we say if selected book, we want to show save changes. right? Then I want to say create book. Okay. All right. So I know we are sorry, but okay. Apologize. Let's see. Okay, hold on. All right, so we have our form displaying, and then we have our add book. So let me add a little style into it, right? So that it can look a little bit presentable. So take this and add a div here. Last name. Okay. And then I want to give it some flex. Okay, so I'm just styling. This is not something people don't know. Sorry for the silence. I hope you guys are following me. Are we together? Hello, guys. Yes, okay, cool. All right, thank you. So, text. Emoji. Okay. All right, so we have our, let me start the button. I think the button style is okay now, right? The network was bad for a moment. I couldn't see what was in the book list. Yeah, we're still in the, we have not gotten to the book list. Nothing is there. It's empty. We haven't written code there. Abubakar. All right, so I think we can work with this for now. Yeah. Okay, let's give this button a little space down. Let's give it little MB of it so that we can differentiate the lists. All right, good. Okay, so for this now, we have our create book, right? So we should be able to create our book now with this code that we have written. We should be able to create and we should be able to also edit. Okay, so now let's display our books, right? Okay, let's display our books. So for book list, we are going to be bringing in, so what do we keep here for book list? We have books. We also have on edit. And we also have on delete, right? Okay. All right, so we just go right on and give it H2, yeah. So call it book list. Okay. And then we want to create another list. On other list, then we want to map our books, right? Exactly. So we want to map our books, but since we have ID, we'll just use our books ID um instead of creating. Of course, yeah. Okay. So we come back here and then we mapped our book. So we want to have our list. Yes, we should definitely map through the list. Can create a span, right? For easy styling. Then we want to have buttons. So in this application, I'm going to set up buttons for each item, for each list item, right? So we want to have book title by so and so author. Okay. Then we want to have our buttons on that same line. So the button is going to serve as as action and click. So for our click event, we are going to have an arrow function. Then we will use our on edit based off the book ID. Right? And then can I call it edit? I repeat the same thing for our delete function and just change the function to undelete. Okay. Are we together? Are we following? All right, so let's see what it looks like on the UI. So you see that initially we have book list dash by, this should be delete. Delete. Okay. All right, so let's give it some styling. Okay. And okay. So delete this list. Okay. So now we have our form and our list property created, right? And let me replicate this styling for. Okay. Are we clear? Let me the delete text. Yeah, I changed it. All right, thank you. Okay, so are we clear? Anybody has any questions so far? Raise your hand if you have a question. Raise your hands if you have a question. No questions? We're all clear. Do we all understand? Are we good to go? All right. You know, I like your energy in this classroom. All right, good to go. Okay. Itek, how about you? Are you good to go? Henry. Yeah, you're welcome, Enoch. Henry, are you good to go? Moramike, Janet, how about you? Okay, Henry is good to go. Janet, are you good to go? Okay, Itek is good to go. Johnson is good to go. All right, let's go, let's go. Let's test out our application then. So what we have done so far, we have our on handle save function, our handle edit function, and our handle delete function. And then we have our two components, book form and book list, right? For book form, we created a form that we're supposed to use to handle either an edit functionality or a create functionality, right? We have our on submit function here. We also have a use effect to handle our life cycle changes in the application, right? And then we also have our book list where we are displaying our books. We have buttons to handle the edit and deleting of our books, right? Yeah, Yano, you're good to go. Nice. All right, so let's test out in practice. So as you can see, the initial state now is empty, right? So there's no book in this list. So you guys should suggest book. Suggest a book and the author. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Things fall apart. Okay. All right. So let's start with things fall apart. Somebody's keep the suggestions coming. So we have things fall apart as our book name, and then we have Chinwe Achebe as you made mistake with that. That's a great man's name. You are making mistake. Okay. All right. Okay, so Chinwe Achebe. All right. Okay, so if we create this book now, right? You see that we have created our book. So we have Things Fall Apart by Chinwe Achebe, and we can edit or delete this book. So let's give the text a little bit styling. Let's say text LG and Excel. And then let's give it ET of 2. All right, this should. Oh no, okay, no, okay. Yeah, so it's all 5 million. Wait, no, not affect that. Okay, I knew it was not going to affect it. Where is my going to? Where is my going to? Where is my going to? All right. Okay, so we have Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Oh yeah, which other book did you people? Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda. Okay. Let's play around our code and enjoy it. Great. So you see that we have 2 books now, right? And this create button is still displaying. So if I click on edit for Chinua Achebe now, you see that we now have an editing form here. And we have Chinua Achebe and the content all present in this form, right? We can save the same thing as the changes and it will still be the same thing, right? But if we go for edit and then let's say we add 2 and save. So we now have Things Fall Apart 2 by Chinua Achebe. Or we want to come here and then we say maybe we want to have our book titles inside the quotation mark, right? As quotes, and then we save it. So we have Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. If we want to delete it, all we need to do is click on it and it's deleted. Which of the functions are you asking for, Enoch? Okay, in the app.jsx. Okay, so these are the functions that we are using. So for everybody, do we understand what we've done with this application? Response, please. Janet, let me hear from you. I've not heard from you today. Janet, unmute your mic.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, sir, I'm just trying to catch up with the class, like I didn't start it with you.
You came late, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to come late actually, because I've been waiting, but the class did not start at the right time. I slept off, kind of.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll permit you. I'll permit you for today. You'll be early next class, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Apologies but we started like 4 minutes now. 4 minutes late, right?
I even sent a message on Discord asking if the class is on. Probably my network is acting up. But then
Okay.
I was checking up till around 10:30 or so.
Okay. It's all right. So what you have to go back and go through the video. Go through the video when it's dropped, right? So that you can understand everything that we've done. The class was
Yes.
actually an interesting one. Too bad you didn't start with us. Who else have I not heard from today? Udo, have you said anything? Okay, I think I heard from Udo. Hello, Udo, is everything clear? Okay. Let me add the point. But when I watch the video, unmute yourself, Udo.
Hello, coach.
Yeah, so how far? What happened? You say your network was bad?
Yeah. When you were handling the book list part of the code,
This part. This part.
I at a point I was
Yeah, your network is still bad. Yeah, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Your voice is cracking. Hello, Udo, your voice is cracking.
Can you hear
We
me?
can't really hear you.
That's where I missed.
Is this where you were lost? Okay, Udo's network is bad. Let's permit her. Enoch has been very active in the class. Daniel, are you clear? Do you understand everything that is happening or that we've done? And Henry. Why you guys not? So please, could you go back to the app? Why are you sending me to the app, Mr. Enoch? What are you trying to do? This is something you should be able to replicate it now. Okay, Daniel, you're fine. All right, so this is all we'll be handling today. Go ahead and explore, practice these functionalities that we've created. Play around with it. You can create other applications that can utilize this. You can create a table. In fact, I think I know the next task to give. Abubakar. Okay, so let's close the browser and see what happens now. Or let's just refresh, right? So you see that it has gone. So you see, you know why this disappears when we reload, right? It's because what we are doing here, we are not saving to memory what we are doing. Okay? We are not saving what we are doing here to memory. So let's assume that we are saving to memory and then getting it from memory, right? That'll be now we can now refresh and we still have that persistent data because we have the data saved somewhere. Exactly. So because we don't have that data saved somewhere, when you refresh, everything just goes because we are just handling everything on the DOM. Yeah, we're just handling everything on the DOM. So once you refresh, and then secondly, yeah, so handling it with storage works. And then getting your data, let's assume you are creating and saving your data to a database, right? That way now you can now get that data from database. So in essence, we will not be, in this scenario now, we won't be getting these books from, we won't be using these normal states, right? We'll be getting these books from an API. So when we create the book, it is sent to the API, and then we now get the books back from the API and display it. Now, if you refresh, except you have a new book, there will be no change to your books data, your books list. So once you have new book, your book list can now change because you have a new book added, right? So every time you add here, the list will be updated. And then if you refresh, it remains the same because nothing has changed from the from where you have it saved. Is that clear? Jenna, is that clear? Okay, good. So I think when your take home assignment will be create a table. Create a table, like, and for that table, you are going to be displaying you're going to be displaying list of users. So the name of the table should be users, right? You're going to be creating you are going to display users. A user's name, age. Abubakar, are you taking this down? Good. So for the table, we are going to be displaying the user's username, age, date of birth, right? Yeah, just those three. Then beside, yes, Abubakar is going to drop it on Discord. For every user, you should be able to, you should have an edit button and a delete button, like actions, right? So for every user on that table, the user should have an edit and delete button. Are you following, Abubakar? Yes, okay. Then finally, that you also have you'll be creating the users. So you are going to have a form like what we have here. And you're going to create the user with these three properties, right? And then display the user in a table. Now, the extra you're going to do for me in that take home, where I would like people to research and work out, is save for every user created or deleted, save the outcome to local storage. So what I want now is for this book list, I want you to get the get the user information from storage and display it and do everything that needs to be done here. Is that clear? Okay, good. All right. Janet, why are you saying no? Janet is saying no. That's users. You are saving the users. Yeah. Janet, you are saving the users to storage. It's not something that should cause chaos. It's actually a very simple process. So just research, do your research, do your work. Yeah. Abubakar, you try to make it very clear when giving them the assessment on Discord. So we are going to do our usual. We are going to be reviewing together. Yeah, we are going to have our peer-to-peer review on this. So once you are done with this, submit it so that others can view your work and give you their reviews, right, of your work, and then you can take from there and improve. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming for today's class. We'll call it a day.